all, this is Valkrin, and today I'm going to give you a guide to patch 3.8 in two parts. Let's get started. First up, we have Kha'Zix. Now these Kha'Zix changes, well, if Prezi will stand still, these Kha'Zix changes were directly targeted towards nerfing mid Kha'Zix, while at the same time buffing his Q, which is going to make top lane and jungle Kha'Zix much stronger in the roles of being a split pusher and assassinator. So what we're going to see is people not taking W first and maxing that first. We're going to see people maxing Q first and evolving Q first, which is great because it does a lot of damage. It's going to change the style of Kha'Zix's play. He's no longer going to be that really annoying poke all-in champion that he was prior. He's still going to be he's going to still fulfill the all-in hopping reset part, but he's going to be more of you wait in a bush, you know, they come up, you Q them, they die type role. You're going to want to max your Q, E, and W last, and R whenever you can, obviously, and evolve your Q, E, and R. And the reason why you evolve your R last is because I find that R works really well right now in team fights, and just in general to mitigate damage. It went from 40 to 50%, which is, you know, it's a pretty decent number jump, but at the same time, it's, you know, evolving W just isn't worth it anymore, and you know, evolving your R allows for, you know, more aggressive play on the front line. And overall, I would say that, you know, top lane and jungle Kha'Zix is the way to go right now. Now, the changes to Annie were pretty cool because not only is Tibber stronger, but Annie's gotten stronger in the last few patches as well. She, you know, they buffed the mana cost on her abilities in like 2 patches ago or something like that. But now they reduced the mana cost on Tibber's. So her mana costs have gotten, you know, reduced by quite a bit, and everything about her has just gotten better and better over time. And this patch specifically just allowed Tibbers to become much more of a threat in team fights. Tibbers is tankier, Tibbers can, you know, soak up a lot more damage, and Tibbers will stay alive longer because of how much tankier he is. So he's going to deal more damage in team fights, and, you know, it might get to the point where you have to have Smite to take down Tibbers, because Tibbers is really, really solid. And in a team fight that lasts a long time, he's going to do a lot of damage compared to if he would just get bursted down like he would prior. So my overall consensus is that Annie's really good right now, and I suggest people picking her up and learning her if you haven't already. And if you've dropped her for other champions, I would say come back and try her again. These karma changes are definitely needed, but she needs a lot more before she'll become a huge threat or a pick-worthy champion. She's in a viable place right now, but it's like there are just so many other better choices that these changes aren't going to affect too much. The Lysandra changes are pretty great too. Everything about it just makes her better at doing what she does best, and that's being an initiate caster. She dives into a team fight, you know, ults herself, you know, becomes a huge menace in an area of effect, and you know, she does a lot of damage. They toned down her damage on her ultimate, but she does a lot of crowd control. She does a lot of damage. Overall, I would say she's a pretty strong choice right now. Now the Sona changes, they kind of mixed some things around. They nerfed her Q. That was definitely warranted due to the fact that Sona's Q damage early game was absurd. She could outdamage most AD carries early game. They buffed her base stats, which were definitely needed. They nerfed it prior because they knew Sona was a huge threat, but they made her squishy to try and balance things out. Now they're kind of reverting things back so that Sona's not as much of a bully in lane, but at the same time she doesn't just, you know, keel over like paper if you actually, you know, play aggressive on her. So overall I would say these changes were warranted. Sona's still pretty good. Starting item changes, overall these were really good. I'm really proud of Riot for doing these changes. It's gonna allow for there to be a lot more flavor in the starting game. Burst casters can start Doran's Ring and 2 HP potions to have much more aggressive play early game. Supports can start Doran's Shield and a ward if they have the Wealth Mastery. Overall, I would say, once again, these changes are pretty good, and I like the way that Riot's moving in terms of adding more flavor to the game. Alright, stay tuned for part 2, guys.